I'm in my car right now because it is super difficult to get any private space where I can talk about anything I want to with my camera and not feel judged by random ass people looking at me. Because in India, it's super fucking difficult to get like some space where I'm alone, some solitude. There are people everywhere, and like somebody is observing you, and to talk in front of a camera is already a very scary thing for me. So I guess I try to find as much private space as I can. Anyway, I want to first say anything I say on this channel is a hypothesis that I'm creating for myself. I'm asking questions around that topic, and I don't know anything for sure. I'm just thinking in questions about whatever the topic is. I'm no expert on anything, but I don't usually deny an idea if I hear about them for the first time. So the topic I want to discuss today is relatively a new concept called law of attraction, and I bet everybody's heard that once in their lifetime today, because it's such a common concept these days. You can find ton of information and people preaching law of attraction online and whatnot. So the gist of that idea is like attracts like. So, and after like a lot of refining of that idea throughout this social media thingy, people have come to this point where how you feel defines or attracts what's it gonna be. So if you feel like you have achieved something, you will achieve something. And at first it's like, okay, if I think about something, am I gonna get it? So the logical mind is like, nope, you need to work for it. But when you think about it more in detail, it's like, if I behave and act that way, and not just act as in I start acting like, if I want to become an engineer, I start acting like an engineer, I start doing things exactly like an engineer, and in turn getting things exactly like an engineer. Or maybe let's change that example into like maybe a musician, because I guess like I've been one for the longest period of time, and not a very successful one, but yeah. So let's say if I behave like a successful musician, and I feel like one, and I act like one, am I going to become one? Is it or is it law of attraction, or are we just tapping into this feature of humanity where if you act like something, people kind of believe that you are that? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, let's say if I'm very confident with who I am trying to pose like, would people buy it? And I think this question is what annoys most of the time when we are trying to attract something with law of attraction. The question, there's always a doubt in mind. Just the doubt is am I actually what I am posing like? Am I actually that musician? And if I don't feel like that musician, I'm gonna get dissonance with feeling like that, with this idea of acting like one. And I'm gonna stop doing it. In turn, how I feel actually make me what I feel like, which kind of tells us that maybe law of attraction is real. Because I started seeing myself as not one. As soon as the doubt came in the mind, I started seeing myself not as a musician. And then I started behaving like not as a musician, and in turn became a musician, became not a musician. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Is it called train of thought? I don't know. You get my point, I guess. So, here's another example of it, okay? Back when I was trying to make it as a musician, I almost felt like I'm not one. And I eventually kind of got over with that entire thing. I had, okay, let me clear that entire example. Let's say I have a fear of recording videos, especially when I'm playing and singing. So that fear is a fear of failure, that no one's gonna see me as a good musician when I record and put this video out. That's what the fear speaks to me. And in turn, the next step of that fear is me sitting in front of camera because I kind of want to be a musician, but as soon as I sit in front of the camera, I'm like, oh, no one's gonna believe this. No one's gonna actually think that I'm a good musician. And I don't know why I have that supposition. I don't know the root of that dialogue, but I do feel that way. In turn, every time I'm recording videos, I feel absolutely hideous. I feel absolutely scared, and I try to micromanage things and make things absolutely perfect. And that process becomes very overwhelming. Once it becomes very overwhelming, I do not do it the next time, because that entire process of making videos is super overwhelming and has a negative association attached to it. So I do not make videos, and I'm acting like I'm not a musician, and in turn getting exactly to the stage where I'm not one. Is law of attraction actually true? So how you perceive yourself as is what you're going to become. What image do you hold of yourself? Now, I think then it makes sense on going down and trying to figure out, what do I see myself as? And why do I see myself as that? Like, let's say, when I was trying to make it as a musician, why didn't I see myself as one? That's a very strange thing. Why did it ever happen that I'm not, like, why did it ever happen that my mind perceived myself as not a good one? One thing that pops up in my mind is I didn't get enough validation for it. So I didn't feel like one. I wouldn't get enough likes or views online, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is not my thing, and I was not getting it because I was not acting like it. So it's all a paradox. Okay, I don't know what kind of loop I'm stuck with now. So if I acted like one, would I have gotten more views or more validation? I guess views is just views, and likes and subscription is just validation that people want to follow. At least in the mind of the content creator, it is validation. So in turn, I guess if I actually saw myself as one, it would have been a better situation, logically speaking. How I see what's my self-image, and my self-image says that I can learn something, and I did, but I'm not a socially acceptable being, so I didn't get the music thingy. I don't know what I'm blabbering now. The point being, why did it ever happen that I felt like I'm not so and so, and how do I defeat that idea of self? If I have a certain image, how do I actually turn it around and see myself as something? One thing is, if you do something every day, you are that. If I play music every day, or I am doing a certain activity every day, I can see myself as one then. And the idea is, with law of attraction and the people who are preaching it, is that you force yourself to look at yourself like that, which is honestly quite difficult, because you can't immediately change what you feel about yourself just by forcing idea and repeating it to yourself, maybe standing in front of the mirror and speaking it and validating yourself, and cementing that idea by force, which is a very difficult task, because then comes this cognitive dissonance where I have one idea about myself, and then there is another idea that I'm trying to force, and both of them constantly are in clash. I guess asking yourself, why do you have the first self-image to begin with, is more important than forcing yourself to gulp this idea of this new self-image. Why do I not see myself as a musician? And to be honest, there is no reason for it. I just feel underconfident and self-doubt, and that creates that self-image. I guess I'm blind to this the answer to this question, because I, for now, do not know the answers. This is the first time I'm discovering this idea too. So I guess let me go into it, figure it out, and if I discover it, I'm gonna share it with you. whoever's listening. I don't know. I don't have any single view on this channel up until now. And I'm not sharing it with my friends and family, so I can do this thing without any judgments. So now it's getting quite dark, so I'm gonna cut this video and see you when I have the answers.